With the pandemic comes a cruel reality, families having to say goodbye to a dying loved one on FaceTime. That moment was captured by an Eagle Rock photographer who lost his grandmother, and he has a message.
This pandemic has changed our lives in so many ways. For my mom, it hit very close to home.
The video made by David Lopez captures his mother's goodbye to her mom, his 83-year-old grandmother, Amparo Morales.
I really wanted to show my mom's perspective on it because my mom was her primary caretaker. She would go to visit her at the senior home.
Their hospital goodbye by phone is heartbreaking.
The hospital did a FaceTime call with my mom so she can say her goodbyes.
Mami, te quiero! Mamita chula!
Te quiero mucho, abuelita.
She cries, Mommy, I love you. He shouts, I love you a lot, Grandma.
April 19th, 2020.
He notes his grandma passed away on the 19th. What was it like for you to watch your mom say goodbye to her mom?
It was heartbreaking because 4 years ago, my dad passed away from a stroke, and we were still able to go see him at the hospital. It felt very cruel to watch this unfold, and it was just a very surreal experience to even film it. And again, I filmed it because my family asked me to, so we could send it to the rest of the extended family. So it was the weirdest thing I've ever done in my career.
As her son, I have been at her side.
The family, his mom, Lupe Lopez, they do have good memories of Grandma.
She was always a very fun, upbeat person. 4 years ago when we celebrated her 80th birthday party with the entire family, we had like a mariachi, and she was taking shots of tequila with the family and just having a great time.
And the film has a message.
Just be a little bit more respectful for the people that are in mourning, because people are passing from this.
What's even more cruel is that there are people close to us who think this whole pandemic is a hoax.
The more we hear about the victims of the coronavirus, the more we see they are more than just statistics. A Marine veteran served our country in the Gulf War but lost his battle with COVID-19. Robert Mendoza is remembered by fellow Marine Victor Lopez, an LAPD officer.
Well, if you knew him, you loved him. He's just an amazing person. There's just so much to say about him. He would give you the shirt off his back.
Tell me, how did you know Robert?
We did some training together in Israel, where we went to some training together, and that's when I first bonded with him and understood his background, that he had been with General Mattis and General Conway in Iraq War as their personal security detail.
He had some prior health concerns?
He was on a CPAP machine. I know that he had been struck with an IED while he did his time in Iraq, so I know that he had some possible lung issues.
How old was Robert?
He was 43 years old.
And what kind of work was he currently doing in San Diego County?
He owns a tactical gear company called Tactical Defense Systems.
Yeah. And he was making masks during this pandemic?
Yes, he was making masks for currently the Air Force, and he was working on some prototypes to make digital pattern masks for the Marine Corps.
What do you want his son to know about the man that you know?
He loved him very much. He talked about him quite a bit.
If anybody says, the coronavirus is just the flu, what do you think about that?
I guess it's just the flu until it attacks somebody you know. That's what I tell everybody.
As an LAPD officer, Lopez's job puts him on the front lines every single day of this pandemic. He tells me he's just trying to stay safe and healthy, keep his partner safe while not getting too close to people. Tough. As we know, the coronavirus knows no boundaries. Angelenos are losing loved ones back in their home countries, too. Tonight, we talk with a man from Iran, but well known in LA's red carpet world. Mehdi M. lost his eldest brother to COVID-19 in Iran.
Parviz was his name, and he was 79. I really looked up to him because he was the first in our family to graduate from college.
Where was he living? And talk about his family.
He lived in a small town outside Isfahan, which is the second biggest city in Iran. He was all about family. He was a popular teacher in his town, and students loved him. The other sad thing is that both his son, daughter, and grandson also have coronavirus.
Are your parents still with us?
My mom is. My dad passed away a while back, and my mom, thank God, she's at least, so far she hasn't gotten the coronavirus, and she's safe.
Mehdi and his wife Dustin are well known in LA's red carpet and fashion world. Dustin Quick is one of LA's go-to top models. And Mehdi is a musician and architect. They shared their loss on Facebook. What kind of response are you seeing from those who love you guys here in LA?
I think at first he was reluctant to share about it. And I thought, we share the good times with everyone and joy, and we celebrate. And sometimes when you share the sorrow, it helps lift a weight, and people don't mind being around you and leaning in.
It was really heartfelt when we got all the responses on Facebook about my brother. It really was.
Oh.
Let's celebrate your brother.
I always remember him testing me on English and giving me encouragement. And, like I said, he always would greet you with a smile.
As we see the faces behind the nursing home deaths, I learned of a well-known member of law enforcement who lost his mother to COVID-19 on Easter Sunday. Reserve LA County Sheriff's Deputy Bruce Cardenas tells me why he was back on the job the next day.
So she's in a very nice assisted living, just 15 minutes from where we grew up in New Jersey. And I guess she was exposed. About 4 or 5 of the staff members at the place were tested positive.
What's her name?
Mary Cardenas.
How old was she?
She was about to turn 87. We were doing Zoom visits with her. So my brother visited, but through the window. So talk about how the world's changed. He's on the Zoom call with us and all our family and crying, but it's all on a camera, And so it actually looked like she got better the day before she passed on Easter. But, we had a priest come and visit her, and, unfortunately.
So you are retired LAPD?
Yeah, I left there, and I'm now in reserve with the LA County Sheriff's Department.
Are you out there now dealing with COVID-19 situations?
Yeah, we have now a COVID-19 task force. Actually, they called up a bunch of us reserves, and we've been working out in the field. As a matter of fact, the day after she passed away, I worked a 16-hour shift in Marina Del Rey.
How are you doing with this terrible news?
It's tough, especially being on Easter, and we're grew up very Catholic, and she was very religious, and but we all cope with it differently, right?
What do you want to say about the coronavirus crisis, being that you've lived it?
When it started, I thought, God, this is really getting blown out, a little over dramatic. And then when my mother got hit, I said, wow, it's now it's affecting me. I didn't think I would ever be affected directly, and it's real.
So many of us know you through Quest Nutrition. We see you out there in the community.
And a lot of people, athletes I deal with, reach out to me, and some companies, and obviously everyone in the police world knows me as the Quest guy. So I still bring the Quest products to the patrol divisions.
Yeah, I mean, that's how everybody knows him these days. Cardenas is someone I see at so many events. In fact, he and I were just together honoring Black first responders in February. And I'm so sorry for his loss. He's a nice guy. And Marla, you know him as well.
Well, it's a funny story because he actually approached me on a Saturday night when my husband and I were out at dinner, and he introduced himself, and then he handed me a box of Quest bars, which is, he's just such a generous soul, and I mean, such a motivational and inspirational man. And I'm so sorry for the loss of his sweet mother, Mary. So thank you for bringing that to us.
The fact that he was back on the job, I mean, that's just the kind of guy that he is. And so many people are going to see this and say, I know that guy.
Yep.
Marla.
Most places won't allow more than one person to be there at the burial. One person. So when we do this, there's going to be one person to watch him go down, and to have to pick one person, and then for that one person to be there without anyone else to hug them or hold them, or I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. How old was your brother?
He's 38, so he's 5 years older than me.
What happened?
On March 18th, my brother messaged us and he was having a fever. He didn't have a cough. He didn't have any other symptoms, to be honest. It was just a fever. Doctor told him to just, self-isolate, pretend it is the virus. That was the protocol. And then they asked him to take Tylenol and just let him know how it is for a few days. The test results came in that he was positive for COVID. And that's when they pretty much immediately intubated and sedated him.
Did he have any prior health conditions or issues of concern with health?
So my brother was pre-diabetic. It started getting bad when they were talking about his organs weren't being able to keep up with his body.
Being that you see this as a nurse and then to have to live it with your own in-laws and family, how has that been for you?
Having to read the text messages and hearing these numbers and them asking me questions, how am I supposed to tell you that, these numbers don't look good, but how do I tell you that?
Yeah.
What do you make of the coronavirus?
It's horrible. Just take it seriously. It's not a joke. It's not a meme.
And sadly, it's a time where you two are newlyweds and should be celebrating.
It's the greatest blessing that I've had, that she could be here with me during this quarantine. And my brother was able to be there and say something special for us. And I think that really makes a difference, because if I didn't have that, I don't know.
What would you want the children of your brother to know about, and that you knew from, day one?
He was the best son my parents could have. He was the best brother for me. And I want them to know that they will always have him in their lives through me. And if anything, I'll be who I need to be for my brother where he can't be anymore.
With coronavirus outbreaks at some nursing homes, one man wonders if that played a role in his father's death. When family was still allowed in, the father would visit the mother in assisted living. Here's Freddie Silvestre's story, and it has an added sad note.
Your mother is where?
She's at the Alameda Care Center in Burbank.
What's your concern with that center?
From what I heard, it was 7 infections of the residents. 2 died, and 10 staffers were positive.
Freddie Silvestre's mother is Lilia Avalos. He says she's at the Alameda Care Center in Burbank, where an outbreak of the coronavirus made recent news. What's the relationship your father had with your mother?
He had a loving relationship. He loved my mom very much. He was there every day, maybe 4 to 6 hours a day.
He says his father, Venancio Silvestre, died on Friday. Relatives posting that it was from COVID-19. What happened to your father?
I was feeling sick, having fever, coughing, pretty much the symptoms. I was told on Friday morning by my cousin that he had tested positive for the coronavirus. That Friday afternoon, he passed away.
Talk about your relationship, a complicated relationship with your father.
Not talking at all. I haven't spoke to my father, I would say, in 5 years.
How do you feel about your father now? He's gone.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm hurt. It still hasn't sunk in. I'm waiting, hoping that somebody contacts me and lets me know where he's at, and if there's going to be any services, so that way I can go. And then maybe seeing all that, it's going to hit me.
Nursing homes have ended family visits to combat the coronavirus, to try to keep it from even coming in the door. Silvestre says he was told today his mom was Alzheimer's and is in that nursing home, is okay and not sick. As news that the coronavirus is hitting ethnic communities harder, we talked with one family out of Chino. Richard Nichols lost his brother and had to celebrate his life online. Don Nichols was 65 years old.
2 weeks ago, we took him to the hospital, and they said he had walking pneumonia. That was on a Sunday. And Wednesday it was confirmed that he had coronavirus.
I'm so sorry for your family's loss.
If we were in Gary or Chicago at my sister's house, the house would be packed with people.
How do you come to terms with this reality?
We did I called it a home visitation. Don was born in Gary in 1954. My wife and I were talking. She says, it doesn't seem right that we can't have a funeral, we can't go visit. So I said, let's go on Facebook Live and have people tell them the food that Don liked, and tell them to bring the chicken, the sodas and ice cream, cakes.
So how comforting was that for you to hear from others and loved ones on Facebook?
Oh, it has helped a lot. He got the whole world. A lot of people have been calling barbers and hairstylists, and they just can't believe that this person is gone.
Richard is a retired teacher. His brother Don worked, as you heard there, in the hair product industry, servicing salons and barbershops. They're a family of 12 siblings. Don, a grandfather, and he's my Facebook page, so we've been keeping in touch there too.